The original Woodstock Festival is a series of accidents and disasters that turn into something of a miracle. 4 guys, 2 put up the money, 2 were the hippies in upstate who knew what they were doing, sort of. They wanted to stage a perfect and bucolic festival in a pastoral setting, and there was your second clue. Great intention. They never finished putting up the fences. They barely finished building the stage. They didn't have enough food. They had to get the army, hippies, had to get help from the army to fly in medical supplies and food and other things they needed. It was a complete disaster. It rained. Also, there were too many people. So many people that they had a choice between pandemonium or saying, just come, it doesn't matter whether you have a ticket, it's a free festival now. A complete disaster. And yet, also a miracle. 300,000, 400,000 people come together and coexist for 3 days. And they managed to make it work. There are a lot of different ways of looking at 1969. Right then, in the space of 4 weeks, man walked on the moon, there was a Woodstock Festival, the Manson family killed a bunch of people out in Los Angeles. Which one do you want to believe describes America in 1969? Because you can pick any of them. But if you pick Woodstock, you're buying into a wonderful baby boomer myth about love and peace and music. What was great about Woodstock? It was an alternate universe. Social theorists call this a temporary autonomous zone. It's a theory in anarchist political theory that you can put people together and let them make their own rules and it will work. They create a temporary autonomous zone. They rule themselves. That's what happened in Woodstock. There were streets. They made up streets. There was a barter system. There was commerce. You could buy and sell things besides drugs, but drugs. You could buy tie-dye shirts. You could buy all sorts of hippie things. A lot of the summer concert experience for kids right now revolves around festivals. It doesn't necessarily revolve around Woodstock. There's a little bit of the spirit of Woodstock, just a little bit of incense in the corner. Here's the thing people don't understand about Woodstock is it was free. Tickets were supposed to cost $18 for 3 days. It's about $125 in 2019 money. Coachella, by the way, costs at least three times that. But they didn't end up taking the tickets. They didn't end up making money. And that set the expectation among fans that festivals should be free. Festivals struggled after Woodstock to actually have tickets and not be charged as capitalist pigs ripping off the culture. The whole idea that Woodstock was about 3 days of love, peace, and music, that is great marketing. That's great branding. And don't think those guys didn't know it. The love and peace, that's an enduring way of thinking of that festival. That was on the poster they printed up when they thought they were going to make money off of the music. And they've restaged it. There was a Woodstock 94. There was a Woodstock 99. A disaster. Is there a Woodstock 2019? There is not. In an amazing replay of history, it was a complete disaster. It got kicked off of its original festival site. It wasn't going to happen. Everyone was trying to shut it down. They didn't believe, and then it didn't happen. And that's the amazing thing, is that it's 50 years later, and some of these same people thought they could pull it off again the same way, by the seat of their pants, without getting it all done 6 months or a year earlier.
More than 350,000 people came looking for peace and music. Many said they learned a lot about themselves and learned a lot about getting along together and priorities. And for most, that alone makes it all worthwhile.
It became pretty instantly the way the generation wanted to think about itself. It wanted to think of itself as the Woodstock Nation, right? The idea of it instantly was bigger than the thing itself. Instantly was more enduring than the thing itself. It was the symbol as much as anything that happened. And what happened that was remarkable was that people got to put some principles into action. And for 3 days, by mutual agreement, inside the festival site and with some of the authorities or the townspeople outside the festival site, it worked. That's the miracle of it. That's why we still care. It was a social experiment, and the experiment worked. And then it wasn't so easy to recreate.
Hey, NBC News viewers, thanks for checking out our YouTube channel. Subscribe by clicking on that button down here and click on any of the videos over here to watch the latest interviews, show highlights, and digital exclusives. Thanks for watching.